Okay, so that knight to g3, that was a critical move here. Basically, I pretty much determined that if I can get a knight, a rook, and my queen, preferably in conjunction with a pawn, to attack his king side, he is just not going to have enough material to fend off that attack. So he doesn't have really many pieces at all defending his king side. He actually pretty much has none other than his rook here, which really isn't helping him on the G or H files. So all he's got is a couple pawns. Ideally, based on the principle discussed earlier, filling in the spaces left behind, I would look to bring my F knight up here to E4. That's going to free up the diagonal to bring my queen down to either the G or H file. So then I'm going to have a knight, my queen, and the rook all bearing down on this king. So even though you can't really see that developing just yet, that's ultimately what I'm looking to do. Obviously, white having his rook threatened here is going to have to take that knight, which he does. This works out perfectly for me because now it allows me to bring my pawn down in a very good spot because now I've broken through his pawn defense. He isn't threatening my pawn, and my pawn is basically blocking the king's retreat here on F2. So, and potentially if I can get a piece down here on H2, put him in check. If it's my queen, it'll mate him. So white is already in trouble here. Now he moves his pawn up to F4. I think he definitely could have done a better move than that, but he's just looking to free up this diagonal here to get his queen out to help in his defense. There, I've succeeded with my plan and moved my knight down to E4 here. Now, granted, he can go ahead and capture my knight. That move is really just to allow my queen access on this diagonal. And you can see once my queen gets here to H4, the game is lost for black, or for white, because white really has no piece that he can move to prevent my next move, which would be queen to H2 mate. So white cannot at this point allow my queen to move here to H4, which is my next move. So he has to take decisive action right now. And that's why he moved his pawn up, so it would allow him to bring his queen up. Now I can't move my queen, otherwise risking an exchange with his queen, which I don't want to do because I'm actually down 2 points because I traded that knight for the pawn. So he moves his queen up here. Now, white basically already dug his grave at this point. If you can't see it yet, you soon will. So I move my rook here to H4, threatening his queen. And it's now also defended by my queen. Now, if white goes ahead and moves his queen out of the way, that's just going to allow me to bring my rook down here, or really anywhere along this file, because I still want my next move to be queen to H4, because then I'm going to double up my queen and my rook on that file, and mate soon to follow. So white has no choice at this point. Goes ahead and takes my F pawn here with his knight, threatening my queen, forcing me to take his knight. And you may think that was a weird move for him. Didn't really help him too much. He just lost material, threw material away for no reason. But that knight wasn't going to help in his defense, and I could have blundered there and tried something else, and he would have taken my queen, which would have prevented the mate opportunity here. So that's why he did that. I was a little scared capturing back with my king, fearing that it may leave me exposed, but all he has is his queen out here, and his queen alone isn't going to be enough to threaten my king. So white still has no choice. He has to take that rook, and it looks like I basically forced him to sacrifice his queen, which technically I did, but basically white has lost, and he had to sacrifice his queen to prevent mate. So that's the only reason he did it. It wasn't just a clever move by me to take his queen. It was a clever move by me to mate him, and he just had to get rid of his queen in order to protect himself. So he lost his queen. Now mating won unless he makes one move here, which is knight to f3, threatening my queen, and now my queen also can't go down here to h2 and mate. So kind of seems like a good move. I just choose to go ahead and keep my queen on this file, but get her out of harm's way. Again, she just needs to end up here on h2 to get the mate, so that opportunity is still available. And white goes ahead and takes my knight there on e4, and I capture back, now threatening his knight. White responds, putting me in check. Now I have to be careful here not to get forked, but barring a blunder, that's not going to happen. So I just move my king out of the way, put him on a light square because he's got a dark bishop, so he can never use his bishop to threaten my king. That's always a good move, is to just render as many of his pieces useless, which putting my king on a different square does that, different colored square. And then white follows by moving his knight down here to h3, protected by his pawn, and now that's preventing my queen from gaining access to that mating square on h2.